He raised his hand one last time. The dragon who'd been his shadow for years pressed against his palm, then turned away forever. Hiccup had just done the impossible. He saved every dragon on Earth by sending them where humans could never follow. The bond that changed everything, severed by his own choice. How does a scrawny Viking outcast, the boy who couldn't lift an axe, learn the hardest lesson of all? That love means release. That protection sometimes looks like goodbye. This wasn't instinct. It was earned through fire and loss, through 3 brutal moments that stripped away everything he thought he needed. But this wasn't his first time letting go. The real lesson started with a single choice in the woods. Burke didn't celebrate weakness. Every Viking could hoist a battle axe by age 10, except Hiccup. He was the chief's son who couldn't kill a dragon. Scrawny, inventive, invisible. His father, stoic, barely looked at him. The village whispered when he passed. While other teenagers competed in dragon raids, Hiccup hid in his forge, building contraptions that usually exploded. Then one night, his bola launcher actually worked. It caught a night fury mid-flight, the most feared dragon in the sky, grounded by a desperate boy's contraption. He found Toothless tangled in the forest, helpless. One cut, and he'd be a hero. His father would finally see him. Burke would chant his name. The blade touched scale. Toothless didn't fight, just stared, waiting for death. Hiccup cut the ropes. He let go of everything he'd ever wanted. Approval, belonging, his father's pride. He chose compassion over conquest, and it cost him his place in the tribe. Every instinct screamed at him to reconsider, to claim his kill, but something deeper held his hand. 2 outcasts found each other, the boy who wouldn't kill, the dragon who couldn't fly alone. They built something new from their brokenness. Sparing Toothless changed everything, but success would teach him a darker truth about control. Success poisoned him slowly. The outcast became the hero. Villages celebrated him. He'd bridged 2 worlds, and the applause went to his head. In the arena, he stopped listening, started showing off. His arrogance during dragon games nearly got people killed. The boy who'd learned compassion forgot the humility that came with it. He had to let go again. This time, his need to be right, to be the golden child who solved everything. Admitting wrongdoing felt like swallowing glass, but the lesson stuck for a while. Years later, he'd grown into his role. Burke thrived. Dragons and Vikings lived as one. Hiccup believed his compassion could reach anyone, that every conflict had a peaceful solution if he just talked long enough. He'd ended feuds between rival tribes, negotiated peace with dragon hunters. Each success reinforced his certainty. Then he met Drago Blodvist, pure malice wearing human skin, a warlord who saw dragons as weapons, conversation as weakness. Hiccup tried anyway, flew straight into enemy territory, convinced his words could change a man who'd spent decades perfecting cruelty. His idealism had a cost. Drago turned Toothless into a weapon, aimed him at the one person who'd always believed in Hiccup, even when he was nothing. Stoic died saving his son from his own dragon, from his own naive belief that control could be reasoned with. The weight crushed him, not just grief, guilt. His father spent a lifetime preparing him for leadership, and Hiccup's first real test ended in blood. Burke needed a chief. He became one while drowning in self-doubt. The throne wasn't glory. It was a daily reminder of what his certainty had destroyed. Losing his father shattered him, but the throne would demand an even greater sacrifice. On the surface, he'd won. Burke flourished under his leadership. Dragons delivered supplies, defended borders, became family. His impossible dream made real. But every morning he woke up in his father's house, wore his father's title, heard his father's voice in every decision. The question gnawed at him. Was he Hiccup anymore, or just a thin copy of Stoic? He'd let go of approval, let go of ego, let go of his father. But he still clung to the shadow, tried to fill boots 3 sizes too large. The village needed Stoic the vast. They got Hiccup the uncertain, pretending otherwise. Then Grimmel arrived, a dragon hunter who'd exterminated every night fury except one. He came for Toothless with the patience of a man who'd already won. The threat forced clarity. Hiccup had built a sanctuary by keeping dragons close, but proximity meant vulnerability. Every dragon he protected was a target. Every bond he'd forged, a chain Grimmel could pull. Protection through possession, love through control. It was the same trap, wearing a noble mask. Everything he built was about to demand the unthinkable. And this time, there was no other choice. Grimmel understood what Hiccup had refused to see. Attachment is a weapon. Love makes you predictable. He used the light fury to control Toothless, turned Hiccup's closest bond into a chain. Every moment they'd shared, every flight, every victory became leverage in a hunter's hand. The truth landed like a blade. His love for dragons didn't protect them, it endangered them. As long as humans and dragons lived together, men like Grimmel would come, and they'd always use that bond as a noose. Then he saw it, the hidden world. A sanctuary beneath the ocean where dragons had thrived for millennia, untouched by human greed. A place humans couldn't follow, shouldn't follow. This was the lesson his failures had been preparing him for. You can't possess what you love and expect it to survive. Protection isn't proximity. Sometimes safety means distance. He could keep Toothless, keep the dragons, keep his dream of coexistence alive, and watch it slowly strangle everything he'd tried to save. Or he could let go. Not just Toothless, every dragon, the entire foundation of New Berk, his identity as the boy who bridged 2 worlds. He released it all. The goodbye wasn't dramatic, no speeches, just a hand on a dragon's face, a final understanding passing between them. Toothless pressed back, then turned toward the light fury, toward freedom, toward survival. Hiccup watched until he disappeared. The bond that defined him, severed by choice. Not because he stopped loving, because he loved enough to let go. This was the counterintuitive wisdom. Clinging destroys, control suffocates, possession kills what it tries to preserve. Letting go isn't surrender. It's the only way to honor what matters. The boy who needed approval learned to choose truth over comfort. But what does that mean for us? Years later, he lives without dragons, married to Astrid, teaching his children about the bond that once was. He's no longer trying to be his father, no longer proving anything, just Hiccup, finally. The 2025 live-action adaptation brought his story back to screens, reinforcing everything the animated trilogy taught. Through 2026, the canon held. No new developments, just the same enduring lesson, reaching new audiences. The franchise resonates because Hiccup's struggle is ours. The terror of disappointing others, the seduction of achievement, the lie that if we just hold tight enough, we can keep what we love safe. We see ourselves in his failures, the arrogance that needs humbling, the idealism that costs lives, the identity crisis of wearing someone else's expectations. So what are you holding too tightly? What would happen if you let go? Hiccup's lesson cuts through every self-help platitude. Letting go isn't weakness, it's not giving up, it's the only path to authentic strength. He released approval to find compassion, released ego to find humility, released his father's shadow to find himself, released Toothless to preserve what they built. That relationship you're forcing, that identity that no longer fits, that dream you're pursuing for someone else's approval. The tighter you grip, the faster it dies. Hiccup gave us permission to release what no longer serves, even when it terrifies us, especially then. Drop a comment, one thing you're ready to release, then subscribe, because next week we're exploring another character who learned this lesson the hard way.